My name is Elvira Pamela Cox Blackburn. I'd like you to know a little bit about my life. I was born on February 3, 1875 in Washington County to Delon Mills Cox and Charlotte Kelsey Cox. I will tell you a little bit about my experiences while I lived in the Muddy Mission and Orderville, Utah. My parents were called by Brigham Young, along with 183 other families at the time, to the Muddy Mission. We arrived there in June of 1868. The area was 450 miles from Salt Lake City, 90 miles from St. George, and was referred to as a lonely, barren, forsaken desert. Muddy was a satellite mission of the Southern Mission, centered in St. George and Santa Clara. It was established on the Muddy River in the northeastern Mojave Desert. Its purpose was to produce cotton, provide a way station for the Colorado River Trade and Immigration Program, and serve as a barrier to Gentile, non-Mormon, expansion. Life on the Muddy was difficult and challenging. The experiences the families endured made us whom we became. If you'd like to learn more about the Muddy Mission, look for the 2-book series by Dean Hughes titled Muddy. You will find it fascinating. See a picture of my father, Delon Mills Cox. My father was a polygamist and had 2 wives. Polygamy was only practiced when one was called by the leaders of the church to do so. Only a small percentage of the men were called to practice polygamy. The main purpose of polygamy was to raise up seed unto the Lord. My father was married to my mother Charlotte. They had 13 children and 9 of the 13 children lived to maturity. My father was also married to Susan Brown. They had 9 children and 8 lived to maturity. So, I grew up in a large family. I had 22 siblings and 18 of those lived to maturity. My father Delon played the violin and was a fiddler in the communities wherever we lived. We loved music. It was an important part of the lives of all my brothers and sisters. My sister Abigail and I were the first children born to my father Delon. Leonard J. Arrington and Susan Arrington Madsen described it well when they wrote that the girls helped their mothers, their fathers, and their grandparents, and their brother and sisters and neighbors. They helped with the housework and garden work. They churned butter, made soap and candles, did the cleaning, knit, sewed, and milked the cows. We learned how to tend sheep and worked in the shop with our father. I also learned how to cook, sew, bake bread, and take care of my younger brothers and sisters. Attending school was not an option for us. I learned how to work hard, how to read and write, and I received a medical education later in life. Back to the Muddy Mission. We originally thought we were in Utah. 3 states, Utah, Nevada, and Arizona, claimed the area. Word came by letter from Brigham Young that a U.S. government survey had placed their towns in the new state of Nevada. Taxes were to be increased 5-fold, and to be paid in gold instead of produce. The Muddy Mission was closed, and the saints were asked to resettle. We, along with many from the mission, moved to Orderville, Utah. You can see a picture of Orderville here. Everyone practiced the United Order there for approximately 10 years. To help provide, my sister Abby and I washed clothes for people. When I was 17, I did housework for people, and I earned $2 a week. I had a lot of fun in Orderville. This is where I met my husband Henry Thomas Blackburn. This is a picture of the Blackburn residence in Orderville. Henry was married to Nancy Beal Webb. They had 3 children after 7 years of marriage. After the birth of his last child John, Nancy died. Later John died as well. Henry's mother died in 1891. This was before we were married. So, she wasn't around to help take care of the children. Henry's father's name was Thomas. Thomas worked on the farm. 2 years after we were married, Thomas remarried. I was hired by Henry to care for the children and be the housekeeper. I earned $2 a week. Henry and I grew attached to each other and fell in love. He was 26 years older than me. It was common in those days for a young girl to marry an older man. To survive, a man depended on a wife to help him care for the children and carry out other work that needed to be done. We married on September 6, 1892. I was 17 at the time. I instantly became the mother of 2 children. Mary Alice was 7 and Thomas was 4. So, I was just 10 years older than Mary Alice, and you could say we grew up together. After just 4 years of being married, Henry was called to go on the mission to England. See the missionary certificate signed by President Wilford Woodruff. At this time I was 21 and I had 4 children. Mary Alice was 11, Thomas was 8 and Mercy was 3 and Charlotte was 1. Incidentally, in total, Henry and I ended up with 10 children. He was gone for 2 years. You can see a mission picture here. Henry is on the left. If you go to the memories of Henry, you can find stories from his children. Also, he can see the journal he kept while serving his mission. I was busy while Henry was on his mission. In addition to caring and providing, I studied and became a midwife. There wasn't a doctor in Orderville and the birth rate was high. Incidentally, midwifery was one of the few jobs in 19th century Utah open to women. I obtained my midwife certification just before Lester was born. Lester was the 3rd of 10 children and was born in October 1899. You can see in Family Search that I received my certificate in July of 1899 and it was signed by 7 people. When someone in the valley had a medical issue, they would come to me. I would care for them, give them medical advice, and pray for them. You can see a picture of my grandson Paul. He remembered how I would give enemas to the grandkids on occasion. Hence, Paul claimed that he and other grandkids were good at hiding from me when they got sick. And Amelia Chamberlain remembered that Aunt Harriet Bowers was called by a Mormon official to be a midwife in Orderville. She was promised no mother she cared for would die. She delivered over 1,000 babies and this promise was fulfilled. This had an impact on me. Others have estimated I delivered between 300 to 500 babies. You can learn more by going to the memories section for me, in Family Search. My dear husband Henry died in 1933. I was a widow for 16 years. I moved into a home in St. George, Utah, very close to the temple. After my children were married, I spent my time working on genealogy and attending the temple. My sister Abby lived with me for a time. I'd like to invite you to learn more about us. On Family Search, you can hear a recording of me singing. Also, my son Tone saved all the letters I wrote to him while he was on his mission. Tone is in the center of the image you see. My dear grandson Don Blackburn, Paul's son, put them all together and they are also found in Family Search. Please understand how much I love you and support you. Never give up on the Lord and on yourself.